at a distance of 700 million light-years from Earth, there is a super huge hole, as big as in all directions, all extend a distance of 330 million light-years. We generally call it the 无厘 hollow, but scientists prefer to call it the great nothingness. Sorry for the next hour or so. You'll have to go deep into this cosmic desert with me. Go and uncover the most forbidden place in this universe. What secret is hidden? If you're ready to embark on this journey, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. You ready? We're going to plunge headlong into the void, in the constellation of Woodward. There should have been 2,000 galaxies. As a result, there are only 60 lonely galaxies, drifting in the darkness of the universe. If our galaxy is right in the center of this hollow, the time when humans discovered other galaxies, it will be a full 40 years later than reality. 1981 astronomer Robert 开示那儿 I am doing a seemingly ordinary observation work. Measure the speed at which galaxies move away from us. Draw a three-dimensional map of the universe. His team, one galaxy after another, marked the blocks of the universe. I thought I would see a familiar galaxy cluster and scattered star groups. But at this moment, something impossible appeared on the map. There should be thousands of galaxies shining, but there was nothing. Not a few galaxies are missing. It's not that one or two pieces are missing sporadically. Instead, there is almost nothing in the entire space. But it's too big. The kind that is so big that it is difficult for the human brain to really understand. Kirshner's team's first reaction was that the instrument was broken. They checked the calculations repeatedly and to recalibrate the device. Repeated observations over and over again. The result is consistent. Eventually, they confirmed. This is 700 million light-years away from Earth. It has a spherical region with a diameter of 330 million light-years. No galaxy exists. The research team called it the Great Nothingness. What is really disturbing is, if you can travel through this void at the speed of light, go from one end to the other, it will also take a full 330 million years. For example, when the first rays of light just entered this hollow, complex life is just beginning to occur on Earth. Crawl out of the ocean. This is not an ordinary vacant lot at all. It's a hole in reality itself, so big that it even affects our entire galaxy group, including the Milky Way Andromeda galaxy. There are also dozens of smaller galaxies. Can be easily stuffed in. There is even room for surplus. Thousands more similar galaxy groups were installed. The scientific community was shocked. There are no existing models. Such a huge void was predicted. According to all theories about the structure of the universe, this hollow should not exist at all. But he was there, looking back at humanity coldly from 700 million light-years away. But the Kirshner team has only just uncovered the tip of the iceberg. When other astronomers, when you point your telescope at this cosmic desert, what they found was much more than emptiness. The only scattered galaxies left in the void. The arrangement is completely inexplicable. And in the depths of that cosmic wasteland, they also found something. These things will completely subvert us. Cognition of the way the universe works. What follows even forced scientists to start skeptical. In the deepest void of the universe, the laws of spacetime itself, is it completely different from what we are familiar with? What's even more tingling is that the scalp is tingling. If our solar system, right in the very center of this hollow, the night sky will be almost pitch black. No distant galaxy twinkles like islands. There are no cosmic neighbors. Imply that we are not alone. There is only boundless darkness, surrounded by you from all sides. Astronomers' character, Reg Aldrin has calculated an account. If humans were not born in a region with dense galaxies, instead, he was in the hollow of the wooden constellation, then we won't discover other galaxies until the 1960s. It is a full 40 years later than reality. Our understanding of the size, age, and structure of the universe is maybe delayed by half a century. But there is something even more scary. What should this area have? Scientists have observed the universe according to the observable universe, the average density of galaxies. Calculate in such a large space, there should be about 2,000 galaxies. Each galaxy contains hundreds of billions of stars. Around each star may orbit countless planets and moons. But in fact, they only found 60 galaxies. 60 vs 2000. This is not uncommon. But according to our understanding of the distribution of matter in the universe, almost statistically impossible. It's like walking into a city block. Discover a place where there should have been hundreds of houses. Only 3 buildings are left alone. Everything else is gone. There is not even an explanation. The diameter of this cavity, approximately 2% of the entire observable universe. Take the analogy of the Earth. Imagine that 2% of the Earth's surface is completely non-existent. Not water or land. Nothing. It is pure absence. But the Woodward Hollow is not the only one. Astronomers later, more superholes were discovered one after another. Some are even bigger than it. Originally, the universe is far more eerie and empty than we think. But what really makes this hollow so fascinating? It's not just its size. It's about what's inside. The 60 surviving galaxies, not randomly scattered in the void. The way they are arranged, 很窄着. Some force has taken the initiative to carve this cosmic cave. And this arrangement, it hides the role that we are just beginning to understand. 有潮. Where did they go? The mysterious forces on the scale. This is every astronomer who studies the hollow of the constellation would. It will be a problem that will be tormented. 2,000 galaxies were supposed to be there. It turned out to be only 60. A lonely world drifts in the darkness of 330 million light years. Every galaxy that disappears, all mean the disappearance of hundreds of billions of stars. Every vanishing star, all mean countless planetary satellites, and even the complete annihilation of the possibility of life. The Woody Hollow is not just empty. It is a cosmic graveyard. Bury everything that should have existed. Scientists have considered all possibilities. Maybe these galaxies didn't form at all. But that means the conditions of this region in the early universe, it's completely different from the rest of the universe. But theoretically, the primordial quantum rise and fall that gives birth to all the structure of the universe, it should also affect here. Maybe the galaxy was destroyed. But what power can wipe out the entire galaxy in one fell swoop? But it keeps the cavity itself stable. Even if it's a supernova explosion, gamma-ray explosion, black hole collision, the most violent events in these universes, the scope of influence is also extremely limited. Maybe the galaxy was pushed out. But gravity doesn't work like that. Matter attracts matter. The longer the universe lasts, the more dense the area should be. Instead of crossing the air, the wooden constellation is hollow. It is exactly the opposite of what the laws of physics predict. What's even weirder is that this hole is still getting bigger. The expansion of the universe reduces the density of ordinary regions, because galaxies are far from each other. But the speed at which the hollow of the wood star becomes empty, faster than the expansion of the universe itself can explain. It was as if there was something. Material is being actively pumped out of this area. Scientists have measured its expansion rate. it's accelerating. It does not expand with the universe. Instead, it expands faster. Some kind of power. It is pushing the residual material out of the center of the cavity. But what can produce such a huge amount? Continuous and well-directed forces. It works on such a vast space. Answer: perhaps hidden in the arrangement of the 60 surviving galaxies. They are not randomly distributed. Instead, a narrow tubular structure is formed. Go straight through the center of the cavity, like a highway of light, cut through the absolute darkness. This tube is about 50 million light-years long. It encompasses almost all the galaxies in the void. Outside the pipe, emptiness is almost extreme. This geometry is perfect. Perfect to the point of being a coincidence. If only galaxies did not form, the rest should be randomly distributed. But it is accurately arranged on a three-dimensional structure. It was as if some force had deliberately arranged their position. Scientists found it after mapping the direction of this tube, exactly parallel to the longest axis of the hollow. This alignment is no accident. Explain the process of creating a cavity. It also determines which galaxies can stay. The tube also contains a number of different types of galaxies. And in the hollow and darkest core of the Murphy constellation, a spiral galaxy with the number MCGO15 floats around. He is known as the loneliest galaxy in the universe. This title is not an exaggeration. He hung alone in the hollow hinterland. Nearest galaxy neighbor. Absolute void separated by tens of millions of light years. Imagine this. If the Earth's nearest star is not 4 light years away, instead it is 4,000 light years away, the night sky will be dark. And for MCGO15, this loneliness is much more extreme. From the perspective of any potential observer there, the universe is almost empty. Telescopes cannot see nearby galaxies. Galaxy clusters are not visible. No substance is visible. Signs of existence in an orderly structure. If intelligent life evolves there, they will firmly believe that they are the only beings in the universe. Not at all. Realize that you are in an unusually empty area. But it is this ultimate loneliness. Make the MCGO15 invaluable to science. It is extremely primitive. Most galaxies in the universe all have experienced many interactions with neighbors. The gas is gravitationally stripped, disturbed by cosmic collisions. These processes are complex and shape the evolution of galaxies. And astronomers are still trying to understand it today. It can be MCGO15 billions of years, never had any external interference. It represents what galaxies look like in their most natural state. Not in the universe block, distorted by common violent interactions. Scientists have found that, despite the extreme situation, this galaxy is surprisingly normal. It has active stars, forms a clear spiral arm structure. There is also a black hole in the center, exactly the same as galaxies in dense areas. This shows that galaxies evolve. In fact, it does not depend on the rich neighborhood environment, but its loneliness. Let it too. It has become the perfect laboratory to test the theory of galaxy formation. If our model is correct, it should be shown to be free from external interference. Specific characteristics under evolution. However, initial observations brought surprises. Star formation rate of MCGO15. It is actually equivalent to a galaxy in a dense area. This directly challenges us about the galactic environment, how it affects the traditional perception of the birth of stars. But this loneliest galaxy, there is another secret hidden. Even though I am in the void, it is moving. It is not just passive drift with the expansion of the universe. Instead, with a special speed, It is implied that he is under some kind of gravitational influence. But in this almost empty area, where does the gravitational force come from? What invisible forces? It can shake the galaxy in the deepest space in the universe. There are spiral galaxies like our Milky Way. There are elliptical galaxies that are shaped closer to spheres. There are also irregular galaxies with chaotic structures. This diversity illustrates this tube, not by something. It is formed by the process of favoring only one class of galaxies. But the weirdest part is yet to come. The movement of the galaxies in the tube is actually highly coordinated. Galaxies within normal galaxy clusters. Irregular motion is usually done around the common center of mass, but galaxies in these tubular structures. But it shows signs of systematic movement along the length of the tube, as if they were following some kind of invisible track, walking through the void. This coordinated movement shows this tube, not just the remains left after the formation of the cavity. Instead, it is an active dynamic system, galaxy. It is still following a certain cosmic scale, the path set by the force runs. Even more strange, the tube also shows signs of recent activity. Several of these galaxies is at a rate that far exceeds environmental expectations. New stars are born. Star formation requires a fresh supply of gas, but the hollowness around them, it stands to reason. It was long overdue to strip away all loose material. So where do these gases come from? Computer simulations suggest a possibility. This tube may be coming from the surrounding area, guide the inflow of substances. The interior is like a cosmic drain. It may be taking away the thin material remaining in the cavity. It sucks in and concentrates along its own length. If this speculation is confirmed, that means this tube is not only a passive structure. It is a person in an open environment, active channels for continuous collection of substances. The impact of this discovery goes far beyond this one hole. If this kind of tube can form in a supercavity, there may be similar structures in other cavities. The entire universe, perhaps it is being invisible by countless invisible passages, crisscrossing the company, then guide the material to flow on a vast scale. But this tubular structure also led to one fundamental questions about the nature of space. What is the power? It can be on the scale of hundreds of millions of light years, creating such precise geometric structures. The answer may force us to revisit those we think, the forces that shape the large-scale structure of the universe. When people mention the emptiness of the universe, often imagine absolute nothingness, a pure vacuum spanning hundreds of millions of light years. There is nothing in it. But this imagination is actually wrong, and the reality is more mysterious than that. The woody hollow is not empty at all. It's actually full of things. Even in the darkest regions between galaxies, in space, it still contains about 15% of the average matter density of the universe. This means a lot of dark matter, hydrogen, and other substances. In fact, it fills this empty area. These invisible substances. It forms a network of filaments and intertwined nodes. Scientists can use gravitational effects, draw out its structure inside the cavity. It's like a three-dimensional spider web. And the galaxy in that tube. It is located exactly at the intersection of these invisible threads. But since there is so much material in the hollow, why it still looks empty? The answer lies in this. The way matter behaves under different conditions. In the ordinary regions of the universe, matter will gather under its own gravitational pull, form stars and galaxies. But in the hollow area, something prevents this normal process from happening. And this thing is likely to be dark energy. Dark energy is a mysterious force. It pushes space to expand, resists the attraction effect of gravity. In most of the universe, gravity wins this tug of war, allows the material to collapse into a dense structure, but in the hollow area. But it was dark energy that prevailed. Yes, a dynamic balance is formed. Matter does exist, but cannot be organized into a visible structure. The hollow is like a taut rubber film. Gravity tries to press small depressions on it, but dark energy prevents these depressions, deepen into a deep well that can nurture galaxies. The latest observations show this balance is changing. The universe continues to expand as it ages. The dark energy is getting stronger. Gravity, on the other hand, is relatively weakened. This means that existing voids will become even more empty in the future, and there are still regions of galaxies. It may also gradually evolve into new cavities. Scientists have calculated, in the distant future, our own galactic realm, it may become like today's Woody Hollow. The same. The local group containing the Milky Way and the Andromeda Galaxy will become an isolated island of light in the dark ocean. But the substance hidden in the hollow, another puzzle was brought. If it contains 15% of the normal density of the substance, that is still theoretically enough to form hundreds of galaxies. But the reality is that it doesn't. This indicates a certain power, actively preventing the formation of galaxies in the void region. This force could be a magnetic field. Recent measurements show there is a wide network of magnetic fields in the cavity. It may interfere with the gas clouds needed to form stars. Collapse process. The scale of action of these magnetic fields, far more than we used to think. It is possible that they spend hundreds of millions of light years in a coherent pattern. But what is it? Can be in a seemingly empty space, generate and maintain such a huge magnetic structure. If you look back at the whole universe from a sufficient distance, an amazing picture will emerge. Galaxies are not like stars in the clear night sky, randomly scattered. Instead, it constitutes the largest structure in the universe, a cosmic web that spans the entire observable universe. This web is made up of huge filamentous structures that make up galaxies, like beads strung on an invisible rope. Gather on it. At the intersection of silk threads, a supercluster of thousands of galaxies lights up the darkness, and between this luminous network, it is hollow. These huge bubbles that are almost empty occupies 80% of the total volume of the universe. The wooden constellation is hollow, just a bubble in this cosmic bubble. But what is truly amazing is the structure of this net. It is actually the same as the pattern on various scales of nature, surprisingly similar. Soap bubbles form a similar network. Neural networks in the brain. It also presents a comparable pattern. Even connecting galaxies forms the distribution of matter in computer simulations. It will also produce exactly the same mesh structure. This illustrates the formation of the cosmic web. It stems from some universal physical process. It applies everywhere from micro to macro. Scientists have traced the origin of this net. It began at the beginning of the universe. Primitive matter and energy in a soup. Tiny quantum growth. It gradually enlarged over tens of billions of years, eventually grew into the huge structure we see today. In those areas where the density is slightly higher than the average, gravity pulls the surrounding matter together, formed the silk threads and nodes that are now gathered in galaxies. And in areas with slightly lower density, the substance is pumped away. A cavity was formed. But behind this seemingly simple picture hides an esoteric puzzle. Those quantum ups and downs that give birth to the cosmic network. The density difference is actually extremely small. less than 100,000, to make such a faint ripple, eventually grew into a structure that spanned hundreds of millions of light years. It needs to be in 13.8 billion years of cosmic evolution, maintain near-perfect conditions. Any significant disturbances, it will destroy the formation of large-scale structures. However, the universe has experienced countless violent events. Supernova bursts, gamma-ray bursts into galaxies, collision with the formation of supermassive black holes. Such fragile initial conditions, how to survive such chaos, and eventually formed the precision cosmic web we see today. The answer may be hidden in dark matter. This invisible particle, it makes up 85% of the matter in the universe. Dark matter passes through gravity, virtually does not interact with light or ordinary substances. It is therefore immune to those that disturb ordinary substances, the effects of violent electromagnetic processes. This makes dark matter. It can build the invisible skeleton of the cosmic network early, and ordinary matter was too hot and chaotic at that time. Galaxies cannot be formed until the universe cools down enough. Ordinary substances. Only then did dark matter follow the path that had already been paved, collapsed into galaxies. But only with dark matter. Man cannot explain the most extreme features of the cosmic web. For example, superhollow like the woody constellation. They are larger and emptier than the model predicts. Obviously, there are other powers. It shapes the structure of the universe at the largest scale. 13.8 billion years ago, the entire universe is smaller than an atom. Every particle, every part of energy, the possibility of all structures in the future, are all compressed into one, small in a space that humans cannot imagine. And then, in less than a billionth of a second, everything changed completely. The universe exploded, stretched the space at least 10 times to the power of 26, an area that was originally closer than a subatomic particle, instantly stretched to a distance farther than a basketball. This violent expansion laid the foundation for everything that followed. During the explosion, quantum fluctuations, that is, on the smallest scale of reality, inevitable random fluctuations. It is stretched from the microscopic scale to the cosmic scale. These ups and downs, it became the seed of all future cosmic structures. But quantum mechanics is inherently random. The explosion amplified not uniform ripples, but everywhere. The chaotic density of the expanding universe ebbed and flowed. Most of the fluctuations were extremely weak. The density difference is less than 1/100,000th. But occasionally, randomness also creates larger anomalies. When multiple faults happen to be stacked in the same direction, will form areas significantly above or below the surrounding average density, high-density zones. It became the seed of galaxy clusters and superclusters. The low-density zone became the starting point of the cosmic void. But the key point is the size and depth of these primitive long falls. It is entirely determined by chance. Quantum mechanics has no mechanism in itself. It can produce extremely huge things like Craig, extremely open areas, model formation according to standard explosion and structure. The largest cavity should be only about 100 million light-years in diameter. It is less than 1/3 of the hollow of the constellation Craig. A large and empty hollow like the constellation of Wood. It should be extremely rare in the observable universe. It doesn't even exist at all. But we have already found out multiple superhollows of similar size. This means that either our explosion model is incomplete, either since the early days of the universe, there are other processes that shape the evolution of the void. One could be the cavity grows by merging with the adjacent cavity. It's like soap bubbles can fuse into larger bubbles. Cosmic voids can also be over time, aggregate into the super hollow we see today. Computer simulations show this process is feasible in principle. As the universe expands, adjacent cavities will eventually touch. When their borders meet, the substance separating them is pushed to the edge. The two holes merge into a larger hole. If this process repeats over tens of billions of years, countless times the original small hollow, it may grow into super hollows spanning hundreds of millions of light years. But there is a problem with hollow mergers. It takes time. The model display is formed by merging alone. Such a big hollow in the seat of Woody. Time required. It even exceeded the age of the universe from the Big Bang to the present. This time contradiction suggests either the universe is older than we think, or the process of creating super hollows faster than current models predict. The key to resolving this contradiction may lie in dark energy, that mysterious force that is accelerating the expansion of the universe. If dark energy is not uniformly pushing away the universe, instead, the intensity varies in different places, then it may exceed gravity, and the speed that ordinary expansion can explain accelerates the growth of cavities. Imagine this. The bathtub is filled with soapy water. Soap bubbles begin to form. At first, small bubbles are randomly scattered in the liquid, but they don't keep getting smaller. Adjacent bubbles touch each other. The film dissolves. A bigger bubble was born. This process continues. Big bubbles swallow small bubbles. The longer it grows, the bigger it gets, until the huge cavity dominates the entire foam structure. Scientists believe, super hollow-like Woody, this is how it was formed. The universe was originally filled with countless tiny voids. Each hole originated from the primordial quantum fall, areas left with slightly less material than average. As the universe continues to expand, these low-density areas gradually evolved into a real hollow. Galaxies cannot form in it. But the void does not exist in isolation forever. As the universe expands, adjacent cavities gradually move closer to each other. When their borders meet, the same material in the middle is pushed outward to their respective edges. The cavity merges with it, forms larger and larger open areas. The computer simulates this process. The effect is surprisingly good. From the cosmic microwave background, the quantum fluctuations observed in radiation depart. Models can indeed grow the original small hollows. Finally, it is close to our view, the size of the measured supercavity. But there is a timing problem. The merge process is too slow. Each merger takes hundreds of millions of years, because the cavity must first expand to be large enough to reach out to the neighbors. After that, it takes extra time for the boundary to dissolve and fuse. To do it this way, forms a superhole with a diameter of 330 million light-years. It takes almost the age of the entire universe. The seat of the wooden house is hollow, but it shows signs of full maturity. Its internal structure shows the time when it was formed, much earlier than the timeline allowed by the merged model. This contradiction, prompting scientists, began to consider the possibility of accelerating the merger. If by energy, the intensity is not consistent in different locations in space, he may push the hollow, expanding at a rate far beyond the expansion of the normal universe. Recent observations, evidence of this accelerated process is also provided. Measurement of the cavity expansion rate shows their growth rate than predicted by the expansion of the universe and gravity alone, much faster. And this acceleration effect, it is most pronounced in the largest cavities, suggests that there is a positive feedback mechanism. The larger the halo, the more dominant the dark energy inside. This further accelerates its expansion. This creates a snowball effect. The big cavity gets bigger and faster. But accelerating mergers has brought new problems. If the void really expands rapidly by the dark energy effect, they should be more than we actually observe. Devours the surrounding matter more violently. In a galaxy cluster near the void boundary, signs of torn or stripped material should be shown. But the opposite is true. The boundary between the cavity and the filamentous structure is unusually stable. A galaxy located on the edge of the void, the original structure is still maintained. Normal formation. The stars are barely visible to the drastic emptying process. Proper evidence. This stability illustrates halo growth. It may involve more than simple, the more subtle mechanisms of mergers and expulsions of substances. Recent theoretical studies have proposed the growth of the cavity may resemble the crystallization process. They are not violent outward expansion, but through some directional change, gradually transform the adjacent material area, change its nature. If this conjecture is confirmed, that means halo expansion rely on mechanisms that we do not yet understand. These mechanisms can be reorganized on a cosmic scale. Matter and energy don't.